Hello and welcome to another exciting edition of Coffee and Bonsai with Tom. We're shooting on location today. This is, well, I guess I'd call it my bonsai workshop. This is the area where, I do heavy duty work. Things get messy down here. It's kind of an unfinished area, unheated area of the basement. So I also have a shelving system down here with lights, and the rest of the family just kind of ignores this space, and so I can leave a plant here if I'm working on it, or I can it can get a little messy for a day or two, and nobody cares. So it's great, and I'm glad I have this area in my home. But yeah, I call this area also the chiller because it's probably, it stays pretty cool here. Probably in the winter, maybe a low of 45, and then in the summer, maybe 65, 70, but it stays pretty cool. It's a great place to kind of overwinter plants that like a rest, or plants that don't mind growing in the cooler area. So today we have this is a Crassula ovata, so basically your standard jade plant, and it's done as a forest. I can let me get my coffee cup here to the side so you can see. This is probably, it's pretty good size. I think this pot is maybe a foot, maybe it's 13 inches long and then wide. And this mug, by the way, this is kind of a fun mug. I love to go to Hawaii. It's probably my favorite place to go to, and so if you've been there, they have the ABC store, so kind of it's a thing for me. I keep track of how many times I've been to Hawaii by making sure I buy one of these at the ABC store, or actually you get them for free. Actually, I think if you spend $100 while you're in there, which isn't that hard, if you're there a week or so, then they give you a free mug. So I kind of collect these mugs to remember the wonderful islands, and and I really, it's kind of, you get a double dose of enjoying good coffee and having good memories. So that's a kind of a thing I do. So anyway, that is about the height of that tree. A little drink here. So yeah, this is just your standard jade plant. When people say jade, this is usually what they refer to. I kind of like them for bonsai. They've got, the leaves can be a little bigger, but I've also found when you put them in a container, they sort of naturally, they kind of naturally get smaller, right? So I think jade's pretty good for that. There's all kinds of varieties of jade. This is one of the ones I like. And it's kind of funny, the story with jade and bonsai forests is this, I had a very large jade, which I'll do a video on that in the future, but probably the trunk diameter is, I don't know, probably 8, 9, maybe 10 inches. It's a pretty good sized jade. And so these were all cuttings that came off of it that I didn't want as part of the style of the tree. I'm kind of like, I don't want to throw them away, so I just kind of put them in soil last summer, and of course they start growing. But it's kind of nice because you get sort of an instant, decent sized trunk to deal with, which is always good with bonsai. And so I had them as individual plants, and then I had them in individual pots. And I'm sure this is common and why there are a lot of jade forests. One day I'm looking around and I've got all these, and I'm like, well, I really don't have the space, and I've got to water them, and so I wasn't really appreciating them necessarily. I mean, there were a couple of them that I liked, but overall, they were nothing special. And so I decided, hey, I'm going to make a forest, right? And so I kind of put them in here, and so I don't even know how many trees I have. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 or 9 in here. And it's interesting because each one, even these ones, these very tiny ones, were, I had started small jade cuttings, and I had them in small sort of mame pots, which I enjoyed for quite a while. But then after a while, I gave some of them away and whatnot. And then, when I was doing this this forest, I thought it'd be nice to have something that's kind of like a small tree or more of a bush size in there. So I kind of threw them in there. So that, jades, it's so easy to propagate cuttings that you quickly find yourself with way too many of them and you have to get creative. But, this is a case where I took some things that I wasn't very happy with in general. And I feel like, I'm much happier with them combined than I ever was with them separate. And this, I think I potted these up not that long ago, and you'll sort of notice, what I like to do is, a very kind of coarse soil so that I don't have to worry about overwatering them. Again, I use wiring, where basically what I do, and I'll have to draw this out for you or do a video on it, where I sort of have this system where I maybe wire, let me see if I have some wire here. Yeah, I do. So I'll do something, I don't know, maybe like this, where I have, say I'm gonna put, and I actually put a wire in for each plant, and I sort of, I kind of twist them at the bottom in some way, and then I attach this to the bottom of the pot, and then I'll kind of run the wire, maybe I want a tree here, and I'm going to have another one over here, and then maybe one in the back, like there, for example. And so, this wire's firmly attached to the pot here, and then I sort of run it, along the bottom of the pot and up where I want the trees. And then when I position the trees, especially with cuttings, if you don't have roots, it's very easy to wrap this wire. And I sort of use heavy wire and wrap it loosely so I don't have to worry about it, digging in to the tree. And it holds it very firmly exactly where I want it, so I can do a lot of planning. I can easily sort of change the angle once I have the tree in there. And I also use rocks, mainly to form sort of a well to provide a little maybe height for the tree, because this is sort of a shallow pot, and I don't want to the tree to suffer because it doesn't have enough moisture, so I kind of want it high in the pot and have the roots go low. So basically that was the strategy, right? So you'll see me, I use this technique a lot. You can see each one of these trees is got some wire holding it in, except for these tiny ones, which don't really need that. And these trees, it wasn't so critical because they all had roots. I didn't really do any major root pruning when I put them in here. I just cleaned them up a bit, got rid of the old soil, and stuck them in here. So they're getting pretty solid in there now. I guess another thing I want to mention is just, I didn't prune these at all when I put them in here. And the reason for that is a little bit about how jades grow. I think I've talked before, like these leaves in the trunk are full of water. So they, these things they practically have a built-in AI system where, they very well modulate growing roots versus storing water and switching between the two. And as a result of that, they're extremely hardy. But one thing to understand about jades is, they're either storing water, and I have a feeling they also grow roots in that case. But when they're stressed due to lack of water, they will send out roots to find water. So when I planted this in here, I wanted to keep all the foliage on, so I haven't really done any styling to the individual trees yet, because I want to use that water reservoir and sort of allow them to dry out a fair amount so they will fill this pot with roots, and then give them enough water to go through that cycle a few times. And once I'm comfortable that they're robust, then I will do some major pruning to this and styling in a future video. But you can see that, I've sort of been, I keep it under lights in this cool area. And it's another thing I should mention about jades. I'm always shocked, like they are very, very happy to grow in cold temperatures. In fact, I think they love it. It's as much as they grow in warm temperatures, maybe more. I've been very shocked actually with how well they grow now. Portulacaria, not so much. They want some heat to do some growing. But these things, even at 50 degrees, they grow. They use water and they're perfectly happy. But you can see the stressing I was talking about, and one way you can tell that is like, here's an aerial root here, right? It's growing roots here and here, and we'll spin it around here in a minute, but sort of all over the place. So the fact that it's doing that above the ground lets me know that there's a lot of good root activity going on below the ground as well, where there is some moisture. And once you get a lot of roots, then I just start watering, and then you wait, the standard thing where you sort of, this is kind of soft and wilty now. You can sort of see how it easily bends, and that's a good, here, let me use one you can see. It just feels soft and supple, and in general, you don't want that. You want the leaves to be, well, you want it to sort of get to this degree rather, and then water, and then they'll fill up and they become very hard and glassy. And then you just wait for that to happen again, and you just go through this constant cycle of very dry, give them a good water, don't water them again until they get dry again. So let's spin this thing around and have a look at some of the styling on it. I haven't done too many jade forests, but I tried to balance this one. I think when I get in there, and I think there are 9. I think I'm miscounting that small tree. When I get in there and do some styling on it, and this thing grows in the direction I want, I think it. I'm pretty happy with it. I was pleasantly surprised with the results. As I said, I had a bunch of jades that I couldn't give away and didn't have the heart to destroy, and so I just took a chance with just doing something like this, and I'm quite happy with it. Like I really do like it. And I just noticed a couple things here since we're in the workshop that I can take care of quickly while we're here. And some of these, we don't need all this extra wire hanging around. I probably did this late and was tired and just went to bed or something, but just prune these wire. These are quite nice actually if you don't have a set of these, because even with a really soft trunked species like this, like there's no, you're not going to hurt it, because you can go right up against it and cut off the wire, and it doesn't harm it at all. So I lost that one in there. Let's see if I can get it. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so that's kind of it for the tree. I do want to talk a little bit about the pot. I think I got this at Eastern Leaf Bonsai, which, I'm always kind of just looking, scouring the internet for interesting bonsai stuff. And I saw this pot, and I don't have any red pots, and I really like the fact it's kind of like, it almost looks like, and I can't wait to get it outside and get some weathering on it, because I sort of liked how it's kind of red with these blacks, and it has this kind of silver rim, and I like the feet. And the fact that it was red. I don't really have many red pots, and I kind of thought this would be nice, because I don't know if you noticed, and you can tell a lot more when it's wet, but I have a lot of, I mentioned I did bonsai forever. I have a lot of red lava, like bags and bags of it, and the akadama, exactly. I've got some vintage akadama that I've had in storage for 15 years, right? And so I'm going to start experimenting using some of that, just because I have it and may as well use it. But I also have a ton of red lava, and I thought that this pot would be interesting to use some of that red lava with this pot. Now, one thing I didn't do, I kind of used these white rocks, which I don't know, I guess it's okay. It gives it a little bit of contrast, but one of the things that bothers me, I really wish I would have used like the black lava rocks, but once these are established, I can pull these out and just forget about the rocks or replace them. I think black would just look better, or something darker. And it's kind of a pet peeve of mine with many of the commercial soils. Like most of my trees are small, so I tend to buy a lot of my soil although I do also make it because I want more of a customized mix for certain plants. But I don't like this white spot stuff in here, right? And so I think and I don't have much of that in here because I think I did this mix of I kind of did my own mix where there's some clay and red lava and pine bark. And I think there's really no reason for me to use even the pumice or perlite or anything in here. I can use those other elements and get the kind of the look I want. And so I'll be doing that in the future for this tree as well. But yeah, for now, I am just growing this out. I want it to get well established in here when I'm confident that it is, is growing legs and really putting on new growth, and I will do some pruning on it and do some styling in a future video. That's about it for this tree. I wanted to mention one more thing. Doing these forests, if you haven't done a forest, like myself, I'd done some in my previous bonsai life, but not a lot. I did a lot more individual specimens. But Jade, I already talked about. They really encourage you to make forests, and I'll spin this around as I give some final thoughts on forests. I was lucky enough, Peter Adams, I don't know if you know who he is, but he's a famous bonsai artist. I think he passed away in 2014, and he would do a lot of demos at our Puget Sound Bonsai Association meetings, and I was lucky enough to attend a few of those demos, and I actually got to talk to him personally quite a few times. And I don't know if this was his idea or if this was just something he said, but multiple times I heard him refer to bonsai as a way of, keeping oneself company. He was a British guy, so he said sort of oneself, and that really resonates with me in my professional life. I'm a software person, and in much the same way that bonsai relaxes me, like when I'm working on a forest, because there's so many decisions, and you want it to look good, and you're trying to go for this apex, and you got to get the placement and the physical challenges of getting the trees to stay where you want, and then how much is too much, or like when you're adding and removing trees and moving them, it's sort of there's a lot of decisions which might seem stressful, but for me, I sort of get into this the zone where time just hours just pass away, and I've just had a great time. And it's super, super relaxing. I mean, I mentioned going to Hawaii. To me, working on a forest or working on a tree, it brings such a sense of relaxation. It's almost like I've been to the beach for the day, in a beautiful place. So that's a thought, and I think don't stress when you're designing your trees. You really can't. Some mistakes turn out to be great decisions in hindsight. Always keep that in mind. And that's it for this tree today. And I want to say thank you so much for spending time with me, and I look forward to seeing you all again soon.